Welcome, my friend. I'm so glad you've joined me tonight. Take a moment to get comfortable, breathe deeply, and let the noise of the day fade away. This time is just for you, a gentle escape into the past, where stories unfold slowly, guiding you toward calm and rest. Before we begin, I'd love to invite you to stay connected with this journey. If you enjoy drifting into history with me, consider subscribing to the channel and leaving a little tap on the like button. It helps bring these stories to more people who, just like you, are searching for something soothing and meaningful before sleep. Tonight, we're stepping into the quiet heart of ancient Rome to stand before a monument that witnessed cheers, fear, cruelty, and glory, all inside a single circle of stone. The Colosseum, a place where beauty and brutality lived side by side. Why did Rome build something so magnificent, yet fill it with so much suffering? Before we begin, what time is it where you are listening from tonight? Imagine Rome under a calm, silver moon. The city is quieter now, far different from the day's noise. The merchants calling out prices, the clatter of cart wheels, the chatter of crowds moving through busy streets. At night, those sounds fade away, leaving only soft footsteps and the flutter of linen curtains in the breeze. Tonight, we walk through these sleeping streets together. You might picture the stones beneath our feet, worn smooth by centuries of sandals and boots, still holding the warmth of the day. Every step echoes just a little, bouncing off marble columns and tall apartment walls. The lamps set along the roads burn low, their flames swaying gently, painting warm circles of light on the ground. As we move closer to the edge of the city's heart, something enormous rises ahead of us. At first, it's just a shape in the dark, a curve of stone that seems too large to belong to this world. But as the moon shifts behind a cloud, its outline becomes clear. The Colosseum, standing there like a sleeping giant. Most people see it in pictures, broken and weathered. But right here, in the world we're imagining tonight, it's whole again. Every arch is unbroken, the walls smooth, the shadows deep. It looks almost alive, like it's listening, watching, waiting. You can feel the scale of it without even touching the stones. The walls stretch upward like cliffs, wrapped in layers of giant arches. Inside those arches, the moonlight slips through and falls in long, gentle beams across the ground. The wind passes through the openings, making a soft hum, almost like distant voices whispering through the corridors of time. The Colosseum isn't just a building. It's a memory carved into stone. Tonight, we stand beneath it with no crowds, no noise, no cheers. Just you, the moonlight, and this vast shell that once held the wild heart of Rome. During the day, this place overflowed with energy. Tens of thousands of people pressing in from every side, eager for a glimpse of something thrilling, something violent, something unforgettable. But at night, the building feels almost peaceful, almost gentle, If you look closely, you might imagine tiny flickers of torchlight glowing inside the corridors. Those aren't real. They're memories your mind paints for you. The stone has absorbed so much over the centuries that it feels like the past still lingers here, just out of sight. As you step closer, the night air is cool and fragrant with olive trees nearby. The Tiber River murmurs in the distance, carrying soft echoes of Rome's slumbering life. The flicker of torchlight casts gentle shadows along the Colosseum's arches, turning stone into a play of light and dark. Imagine running your fingers across the marble, smooth yet weathered by centuries. What thoughts might pass through your mind as you stand at the edge of an arena that once pulsed with such life? Could you feel the weight of history pressing softly against your shoulders, like the hush before a storm? The city sleeps, but the monument seems alive, as if it remembers the roar of crowds, the whisper of gladiators, and the silent anticipation of victory or defeat. Somewhere deep inside, faint echoes drift out, not loud enough to disturb the quiet, but subtle enough to remind you that this arena once shook with sound. The roar of crowds, the clash of metal, the growl of wild animals, and the desperate beating of hearts. But tonight we focus on the calm, on the structure itself. The Romans called it the Amphitheatrum Flavium, the Flavian Amphitheater, built by the Flavian emperors, Vespasian, Titus, and Domitian. It wasn't built out of a desire for art or beauty. Not really. It was built for control, for entertainment, for power. Yet somehow, despite that, the architecture remains breathtaking. If you run your hand along the outer wall in your mind, you'd feel cool stone, travertine, pale, sturdy, and full of tiny holes like bones hardened by time. Each block is fitted so perfectly that the seams vanish into the surface. Iron clamps hold the pieces together, hidden inside like stitching beneath the skin. You might wonder, how could such a peaceful night belong to a building known for such pain? That's where our journey begins, in the quiet, in the moonlight, in the gentle contrast between beauty and brutality. The truth is, the Colosseum wasn't always a symbol of death. To many Romans, it was a celebration of engineering, a reminder of imperial generosity, a place where they could escape their problems for a few hours. Bread was given to the hungry. Spectacles were offered for free. Emperors promised entertainment that would outshine anything else in the world. But under that promise lay a darker reality, one we'll explore slowly, calmly, without rushing or shocking the senses. For now, I want you to stand here with me, looking up at this silent giant. The moonlight rests on every stone. The arches bend overhead like open arms, and the city sleeps quietly around us. We're at the edge of a story that stretches across centuries, a story carved into architecture, shaped by emperors, fueled by blood, and remembered in silence. How did a monument so beautiful become home to such brutality? Why did Rome pour so much wealth and effort into constructing a place designed for death? And why, after all this time, does the Colosseum still stand while empires around it have fallen into dust? Tonight is only the beginning. To understand the Colosseum, we must gently step backward in time to a moment when Rome was trying to heal itself after one of the most chaotic rulers in its history. Close your eyes for a moment and picture Rome around the year 70 CE. The air smells of dust, warm stone, and river breeze from the Tiber. Workers are slowly rising for the day. Craftsmen tying leather straps on their sandals, laborers gathering tools, the soft murmur of families waking inside their apartment blocks. The sky is still pale, not yet bright enough for shadows. And somewhere in the midst of it all stands a man whose decisions will reshape the entire city, Emperor Vespasian. Vespasian was not born in a luxury. He wasn't the polished, marble statue kind of emperor. He was older when he took the throne, practical, steady, and experienced. And he arrived in power after the dust of Nero's madness. A time when Rome felt fractured, exhausted, and in desperate need of trust. Nero had built monuments not for the people, but for himself. The most infamous was his Domus Aurea, the Golden House. Imagine it. A palace so enormous it sprawled across the hills, filled with halls plated in gold, rooms decorated with jewels, ceilings engineered to rain rose petals on guests, and an artificial lake shimmering at the center. A private wonderland for one man. To the people of Rome, this was an insult carved into the earth. Tens of thousands of Jewish war prisoners, taken captive during Rome's brutal campaign in Judea, were forced into labor. They hauled stones, dug foundations, and carried materials under the relentless sun. Their suffering is woven into every layer of the structure, even if history often whispers about it rather than shouting. The materials themselves were symbols of Roman ingenuity. Travertine, strong, pale limestone, came from the quarries of Tivoli. Concrete, a Roman invention far ahead of its time, bound the structure together. Tufa, a softer stone, created the interior walls, and thousands of iron clamps held the massive blocks in place, like invisible bones giving shape to stone. At dawn, you could have stood at the construction site and seen scaffolding climbing upward like a wooden forest. Workers tapped chisels rhythmically, the sound echoing across the open land where Nero's artificial lake once glistened. Ropes creaked as pulleys lifted heavy blocks. Dust hung in the air like a warm, glowing mist. The design itself was revolutionary, an elliptical shape, not a circle. This allowed everyone inside to see the arena, no matter where they sat. 76 public entrances made it easy for tens of thousands of people to enter in just minutes. Roman engineering wasn't just functional. It was a quiet kind of brilliance, a mastery hidden behind stone. In these early days, The structure slowly rose like a sleeping titan coming to life. Every few months, new arches appeared, new corridors took shape, new levels stretched upward toward the sky. The workers probably didn't realize they were building something that would outlive kingdoms, dynasties, and entire belief systems. When Vespasian died in 79 CE, he never saw the final result, but his son Titus did. And Titus, eager to honor his father and secure his own legacy, poured energy into finishing the project. Under Titus, the amphitheater gained its seats, its decorations, its underground passages, all the elements that transformed stone into spectacle. Then came Domitian, the third of the Flavian emperors. His contributions weren't visible from outside, but they changed everything that happened within. He built the Hypogeum, the two-story underground system of compartments, corridors, and mechanical lifts that would bring animals and performers into the arena, as if appearing from the earth itself. A world beneath the world. By the time construction ended, the Colosseum was unlike anything humans had ever seen. A monumental statement, a gift wrapped in stone, a promise of entertainment that would last for centuries. But before anyone could witness what would happen inside those walls, before the crowds could cheer or shudder, before the arena could drink its first taste of blood, there was anticipation, a quiet, electric anticipation that hummed through Rome. Opening day was coming. The city buzzed with whispers. What would the games look like? What wonders had the emperor prepared? How many animals? How many fighters? How many surprises? Rome didn't know it yet, but it was about to witness 100 days of spectacular excess, a celebration that would shock the ancient world. But for now, we remain in this chapter, standing at the edge of something extraordinary, watching this enormous structure rise from the earth, knowing that soon it would shape the empire's identity, its politics, its entertainment, and its soul. The Colosseum was born not from art or joy, but from politics, ambition, and the desire to rewrite Rome's story. A monument built on reclaimed land, labored over by captured hands, finished by emperors who understood the power of spectacle, and all of it for the people. You may think gladiators were born here, in Rome's famous amphitheater, but the truth stretches farther back, into fields of sorrow, into the rituals of old Italy, where the earliest echoes of gladiatorial combat were whispered not by cheering crowds, but by grieving families. Long before Rome turned bloodshed into entertainment, the Etruscans, the mysterious people who lived on the land before Rome expanded, believed that when a noble died, a life must be offered to honor the gods and strengthen the spirit of the deceased. Two warriors would fight beside the funeral pyre. Their sweat and struggle meant to sanctify the passage from life to death. This was the seed, dark, ritualistic, solemn. And yet Rome, ambitious and ever hungry for power, saw something in these ritual combats, something it could reshape, refine, and ultimately exploit. To the Romans, everything had potential, even death. By the time the Republic rose, these funeral combats had slipped away from sacred spaces and into public squares. Wealthy families, especially those seeking political favor, began hosting them as grand spectacles. Munera, they were called. Gifts to the people. Gifts soaked in blood. Imagine the transformation. What once honored ancestors slowly became a tool for attention, applause, and influence. A senator hoping to win office would host a lavish combat show, paying for dozens of fighters to clash before the crowd. The people, thrilled by the violence and the rare chance to witness something breathtakingly brutal, rewarded the sponsor with loyalty. Politics, entertainment, power, all tied together by the clang of steel. It wasn't long before Rome built its first wooden arenas, small circles that could be disassembled and carried from town to town. The passion for gladiatorial games spread across the Republic like wildfire. Every celebration, victories, birthdays, triumphs, became an excuse for blood. But where these early gladiators come from? Some are prisoners of war, taken from lands Rome had conquered. Others were slaves purchased specifically for combat. A few, rare and desperate, were volunteers, men weighed down by debt or dreaming of glory, who willingly signed their lives away to the arena in exchange for the slim hope of fortune. Most were not trained killers when they arrived. They were raw, afraid, confused, torn from homes, families, and futures they thought they would still have. Gladiator schools called ludi began forming across the city. Think of them as prisons fused with athletic training centers. Harsh discipline ruled the day. Meals were rationed with precision, not cruelty. Gladiators were investments. After all, their bodies were strengthened like iron bars being forged in a roaring furnace, and their identities were stripped away. A captured Gallic warrior no longer fought as himself. He became a murmillo, wearing a heavy helmet shaped like a fish. A swift and agile fighter from Africa might be reshaped into a retiarius, wielding a net and trident. Others were molded into the armored secutor, built to chase down their opponents like a silent predator. Each style was designed for balance, for contrast, for theatrical tension, because Rome loved drama just as much as it loved victory. But beneath all the training, beneath the rigid discipline and carefully assigned roles, lived something far more human. Fear, hope, rage, desperation, the quiet dreams of men who had lost control of their destinies, yet still clung to whatever scraps of identity they could. Some stories survive from these early years, faded in manuscripts, whispered by historians, and fused with fragments of imagination. One such tale speaks of a Thracian prisoner named Bellator. Fictional, perhaps, but shaped by 1,000 real men who lived his fate. Captured during a border skirmish, he was dragged to Rome in chains. He had never touched a Roman sword before, never imagined he would become entertainment. On his first night in the Ludus, he lay awake on a wooden plank, surrounded by men who stared at the ceiling with the same hollow awareness. Tomorrow, they would begin transforming into something else, something both feared and revered by the world outside their walls. Villains to some, heroes to others. Property to Rome. Bellator's hands trembled not from cold, but from a truth he was not yet ready to accept. His future was no longer his own, and yet a question flickered in his mind, small but relentless. Could I survive this? Could I become something greater than a slave? Could this unimaginable path become somehow a form of rebirth? Whether his story was real or symbolic, it reflected a deeper truth. Many early gladiators carried such questions carved into their hearts, and in time, Rome would give them an answer, not through mercy, but through the grandest stage the world had ever built, the Colosseum. But before its stones began rising, before the emperors will shape the skyline, the gladiators were already becoming legends in waiting, preparing for a world that would soon transform their misery into spectacle, their suffering into applause. This chapter of their history, raw, unpolished, intimate, shows us the beginning of the path that would lead to one of the most iconic structures ever created. A path paved with discipline, with fear, with rituals reborn as entertainment, and with the earliest heartbeat of an empire obsessed with power, performance, and control. And now, we continue forward toward the moment when Rome decides it is time to build an arena worthy of the gods. The morning sun rises gently over Rome, painting the city in soft amber light. The streets are alive, but in a curious, calm way. Merchants set up their stalls. Children scurry past, chasing small wooden toys. Senators in flowing togas walk slowly, observing the city awakening. And yet, beneath all this, there's a quiet tension. Today is not an ordinary day, because today the Colosseum opens its doors for the first time. Imagine walking toward it. The massive elliptical structure towers above everything else in the city. Its arches glint in the morning sun. From a distance, it looks like a perfect circle of stone, an architectural jewel. As you approach, the sound of the crowd swells. Hundreds, then thousands of citizens are arriving, each eager to witness something extraordinary. Entry is organized, almost ritualistic. The 76 gates allow smooth access, and the seats are arranged meticulously according to social class. Senators and dignitaries occupy the front rows closest to the action. The wealthy patricians sit in shaded areas, while the common people crowd into the upper tiers. The poor still manage to find their place. No one is truly excluded from the spectacle. Titus, the young emperor, stands on the podium, observing quietly. A soft smile touches his face, not one of cruelty, but of careful pride. He knows that today the empire will see not only the power of Rome, but the ingenuity of its people, the genius of its engineers, and the spectacle that will forever define Roman culture. The games begin with the Pompa, a grand parade of gladiators. They march in line, banners fluttering, armor shining. Each fighter carries their weapons with pride, their faces painted with determination or fear. And behind them, the wild animals arrive. Lions from North Africa, tigers from distant lands, elephants from India. Some roar quietly, others stomp impatiently, sensing the strange new environment. The crowd murmurs in awe, a mixture of excitement and nervous anticipation. Children cling to their parents. Senators nod knowingly. All eyes are fixed on the arena, where the first acts of the day are about to unfold. Next come the venations, the hunts of wild animals. Lions leap, tigers sprint, and elephants move with surprising grace. The fights are brutal, yet mesmerizing, choreographed with precision. You can almost imagine the engineers below the arena floor, operating lifts and trapdoors, releasing animals at just the right moment to thrill the crowd. Public executions follow, a sobering reminder that life and death here are intertwined. Criminals are punished, sometimes dressed in mock costumes of mythological figures, transforming justice into theater. The Romans did not see this as cruelty alone. They saw morality, spectacle, and power combined. Midday brings the gladiatorial combat. The first pair enters the arena, a Murmillo and a Retiarius. The Murmillo, heavily armored, carries a gladius and shield. The Retiarius, agile and cunning, wields a net and trident. They circle each other, tense and calculating. The crowd reacts to every feint, every block, every strike. Cheers rise, then fade into anxious silence. You can feel the heartbeat of the city in the collective gasp of the audience. A small fictionalized moment. Imagine a young Roman girl named Livia, perched on the top tier with wide eyes. She leans forward, holding her brother's hand, whispering, "Do they always fight like this?" Her brother shakes his head. "Only for the emperor," he says. And for a moment, the two children forget the hunger, the chores, the small worries of life, absorbed entirely in the drama below. The games continue in waves. Exotic animals are released again. Bears from Syria, ostriches from Nubia. Some fights reenact ancient myths. Orpheus calling spirits from the underworld. Hercules battling the Nemean lion. The arena becomes a stage, history and fantasy mingling with raw human emotion. Titus watches silently, a philosopher in his own way. He knows each roar of the crowd, each gasp, each cheer is not just entertainment. It is power in motion. The empire is unified here, not through treaties or battles, but through awe, spectacle, and the carefully orchestrated dance of life and death. And yet, In the quiet corners of the Colosseum, the human element persists. Gladiators whisper to each other, share small jokes to ease tension, glance at the sky, and wonder if they will survive another day. Some write secret notes to loved ones, folded and hidden beneath their tunics. Others simply close their eyes for a brief instant, imagining freedom that may never come. The day ends with the crowd departing slowly. Torches are lit for those who remain late. The stone arena, now silent, holds the echoes of thousands of voices. The sun sets, casting long shadows across the empty stands. The Colosseum has proven itself a marvel, not just of engineering, but of human drama, ingenuity, and the strange combination of fear and fascination that defines Rome itself. As night falls, imagine the arena in gentle silence. The wild animals are gone. The gladiators retreat to their quarters, and the emperor retires to private reflection. The Colosseum, monumental and enduring, waits patiently for the next day, for the next story, for the next echo of human hearts beating together in awe, fear, and excitement. And in that silence, you can almost hear it think. Centuries will pass, empires will fall, but I will remain. Even as the crowds depart and torches burn low, the world of the gladiators comes alive. Behind the stone walls of the Colosseum, in the Ludi, the gladiators begin their day before sunrise, moving in rhythm with the soft light that slips over Rome. Imagine a quiet morning in the Ludus Magnus, the largest gladiator school in the city. The air is cool, heavy with the scent of straw and sweat, mixed with the faint tang of metal. A Murmillo sharpens his sword, while a Retiarius practices net throws in a shaded courtyard. Even here, discipline is precise but not cruel. The trainers walk slowly, watching, correcting, guiding. Every motion is measured, every breath intentional. Life as a gladiator is paradoxical. They are slaves, yet celebrities. They are prisoners, yet objects of fascination. They live under harsh discipline, but in rare moments, they find community, humor, and hope. Diets are carefully maintained. Oats, beans, barley, vegetables, simple food, but enough to keep their bodies strong. Doctors tend to injuries that would have been fatal elsewhere. Bonds form quickly among the fighters, comradeship forged in sweat and fear. Some whisper about home, some carve letters into wooden planks. Each gladiator carries a story, hidden beneath armor and scars. The training is rigorous. Morning exercises stretch muscles. Weapon drills repeat endlessly. Heavy shields, swords, tridents, and nets are wielded until motion becomes instinct. Each style, Murmillo, Thraex, Retiarius, Secutor, Hoplomachus, is unique. Some rely on strength, others on agility. Some strike quickly, others endure, waiting for a moment to exploit a mistake. And yet, there are moments of stillness. Imagine a young gladiator, perhaps inspired by a memory of home, pausing under the pale light of dawn. He listens to the wind through the open courtyards, imagining that it carries the voices of a world outside the walls. Laughter, conversation, life that he cannot touch. For an instant, he is not a gladiator. He is simply a human being, feeling the warmth of the sun and the quiet of the morning. In the dim glow of morning lanterns, one gladiator carefully unfolds a piece of parchment. It is a letter to his younger brother, written in tiny, careful letters. I trained today as the sun rose, my body aching, but I remember your laughter at home. When I fight, I carry not just the sword, but your courage with me. Moments like this reveal the paradox of their existence. They are slaves, yet they write, dream, and hope. Outside the arena, in fleeting minutes of quiet, friendships are forged over shared bread and whispers, bonds that last longer than the fight itself. The clang of weapons may dominate the day, but these private reflections remind them, and us, that even in captivity, the human heart persists. The Colosseum looms in their minds, even when it is not visible. They know what awaits: the roar of crowds, the thud of hooves, the clash of swords, the finality of death. Yet in preparation, in routine, in repetition, they discover something else: control. Not over the empire, not over the audience, but over themselves. A net thrown perfectly, a stance maintained despite fear, a breath held as an opponent advances. The popular misconception of the thumb is worth noting here. Many believe the crowd decided life or death with a simple gesture: thumb up, thumb down. But in reality, the decision often rested in the hands of the editor, the organizer, not the masses. And sometimes, mercy and execution were as much about drama as justice. Gladiators also inspire stories, legends whispered through Rome, tales of courage, friendship, defiance, and cunning. The famous stories of those who survived countless battles, winning fame and the hope of freedom, mingle with the anonymous sacrifices of countless others. Every day, a human drama unfolds, sometimes more compelling than the grand political events outside the Colosseum. Evening comes. The training concludes. Gladiators return to their quarters, their minds wandering through dreams of freedom, family, or glory. Some read letters, some write quietly, imagining a life that may never be theirs. And some, perhaps, simply close their eyes and rest, letting their bodies heal, preparing to rise once again under the rising sun. Through it all, the Colosseum waits silently, a giant in stone. It watches them train, knowing that soon it will echo with their courage, their fear, and their fleeting triumphs. It will witness the human heart in extremes: pride, terror, hope, despair, and above all, endurance. The paradox is clear. The gladiators are enslaved, yet their lives are celebrated. They are instruments of spectacle, yet they are people living, thinking, hoping. And this duality, the blend of oppression and admiration, is what will define the heart of the Colosseum for centuries to come. Before the sun rises fully, before the city is alive with chatter and merchants calling out their wares, the Colosseum is already stirring. Not with people, not with crowds, but with anticipation. A slow, patient hum resonates from beneath its stone floors, the hypogeum, the hidden underground labyrinth of corridors, elevators, and cages where the true magic and mechanics of the games begin. Picture a small boy perched on the upper tier, his eyes wide with awe, clutching his father's hand. The lion leaps through the trapdoor. A gladiator crouches, poised with trident and net. He gasps at the spectacle, not fully understanding the danger, but feeling the electric pulse of life itself. The sun arcs across the arena, casting shadows that move like living shapes on the sand. Every cheer of the crowd is mirrored in his racing heartbeat. For him and countless others, the Colosseum is not merely stone and blood. It is an experience, a lesson in courage, fear, and human creativity orchestrated to perfection. Imagine stepping into this world. The air is cooler, heavier, tinged with straw, animal scents, and the faint iron tang of weapons. Lanterns cast soft, flickering light across the walls, revealing shadows of men moving with careful purpose. Gladiators are awakened before dawn, stretching, sparring quietly, and preparing for a day that will unfold in layers of spectacle, danger, and ritual. The day begins gently, almost deceptively, with the Venations, the hunts of exotic animals. Lions, tigers, bears, elephants, and even ostriches are guided into the arena through trapdoors, emerging as if conjured by magic. You can almost hear the creak of the wooden lifts, the hushed commands of attendants, the low rumble of animals adjusting to the world above ground. Each movement is precise. Each release is choreographed. Nothing is left to chance. By mid-morning, the focus shifts to executions. Criminals, rebels, and captives are presented to the audience not merely as punishment, but as part of a grand narrative. Some are made to enact myths, perhaps Prometheus bound or Orpheus calling back the dead. Their suffering is a story, their demise an illustration of power, morality, and entertainment intertwined. The Romans did not separate spectacle from justice. They were one and the same. Then comes the climax, gladiatorial combat. The pairs enter the arena, each representing a different fighting style. Murmillo, Thraex, Retiarius, Secutor, Hoplomachus. The first clash is subtle, almost dance-like, each movement precise, each strike calculated. The crowd reacts not only to victory or defeat, but to courage, skill, and cunning. In these moments, the Colosseum is alive. Its stone walls absorb every sound. The shuffling of feet, the clash of weapons, the roar of both animal and human. And yet, behind the grandeur lies a quieter truth. The hypogeum is a masterpiece of engineering. Cages for animals, corridors for gladiators, trapdoors that can lift massive elephants or unleash exotic beasts in seconds. All operate seamlessly. Engineers and attendants work like clockmakers, ensuring that every appearance, every surprise, unfolds at the perfect moment. Without them, the illusion would falter, and the empire's carefully crafted spectacle would crumble. Animals play a starring role in this theater. North African lions, Syrian bears, Indian elephants, Nubian ostriches, and more, all brought from distant corners of the empire, each representing Rome's reach and dominance. Their movements are studied, their behaviors anticipated, their ferocity both feared and admired. The crowd gasps at a lion leaping, marvels at an elephant's strength, shivers at the sudden appearance of a crocodile. Nature itself has been harnessed to serve the story. Gladiators, too, navigate the tension between spectacle and survival. Some are veterans, celebrated for victories and cunning. Others are novices, trembling beneath armor and helm, whispering prayers to gods or ancestors. In moments between battles, they retreat to the sidelines, catch their breath, and perhaps imagine the world beyond the Colosseum's walls. Some write letters, secret messages folded into tunics, a quiet rebellion against the system that owns them. Others simply close their eyes, recalling fragments of childhood, fleeting images of home, or visions of freedom. Amid all this, the crowd's energy ebbs and flows. They cheer, gasp, and murmur, riding the rhythm of blood and suspense. The emperor watches quietly, often detached, yet every gesture, every roar, is part of the grand narrative he controls. The games are more than entertainment. They are a tool of unity, power, and identity. Every reaction of the audience reinforces Rome's order, hierarchy, and the emperor's image as both generous provider and master of spectacle. Evenings in the arena are quieter but no less profound. After the last combat, the crowd drifts away, leaving echoes behind. The arena floor, once a stage of chaos and color, lies empty. Animals have been returned to cages or gone. Gladiators retreat to training quarters, and attendants tidy the remnants of a day's orchestrated violence. The Colosseum, monumental and enduring, absorbs the quiet. It is both witness and participant, holding the secrets of those who walked, fought, and died within its walls. And in this silence, one realizes the paradox of Rome's greatest arena. Is it once a place of terror and beauty, cruelty and precision, death and discipline? Each day, the games repeat, yet each is unique. a blend of human courage, engineering genius, imperial power, and the raw pulse of life itself. The Colosseum is not merely stone and mortar. It is a living memory, a stage where empire and humanity collide, and where the rhythms of fear, admiration, and awe continue to echo long after the crowd departs. Even in the quiet moments after the games, the Colosseum whispers of purpose. Every roar of the crowd, every cheer, every gasp had been carefully orchestrated, not just for thrill, but for power. Rome understood something profound. Humans are drawn to spectacle, and the emperors, aware of this, wielded it like a finely tuned instrument. They knew that entertainment could pacify, educate, and control. This was the essence of panem et circenses, bread and circuses. The phrase sounds simple, almost playful, but its weight was enormous. Give the people food and distraction, and they will remain loyal, calm, and watchful of the empire's glory rather than its faults. Consider Vespasian, who commissioned the Colosseum. He was no naive man. He had witnessed Nero's tyranny, the chaos of civil unrest, and the empire's fragility. He understood that a grand arena, a stage of wonder and fear, could reassert Rome's strength and unite citizens across social divides. With stone and sweat, he constructed more than a building. He created a symbol. When Titus opened the Colosseum, he orchestrated 100 days of games. Imagine it. 100 days where the eyes of Rome were fixed on this elliptical stage, witnessing courage, brutality, myth, and power. For the people, it was awe-inspiring. For the emperor, it was subtle governance, a reminder that Rome was orderly, magnificent, and inescapably alive. The economic machinery behind these games was staggering. Animals were imported from across the empire. Hunters, trainers, and animal handlers coordinated months in advance. Gladiators trained constantly. Entire logistics networks worked silently, ensuring each day unfolded perfectly. The empire, in essence, moved like a single organism, pulsating through the Colosseum. Emperors like Domitian and Trajan elevated this further. Domitian staged elaborate myth reenactments. Trajan, in 123 CE, famously oversaw games where 11,000 animals were killed over 123 days. A spectacle so enormous that it blurred the line between tribute to the gods and assertion of imperial dominance. Yet, the Colosseum's influence went beyond mere entertainment. Social hierarchy was reinforced with every gesture. Senators sat at the front, visible to all. The emperor's podium was elevated, an unmistakable sign of authority. The people, spread across tiers, were reminded of their place and the power that orchestrated their world. Spectacle became subtle education, a lesson in loyalty, obedience, and admiration for Rome itself. Even small details mattered. The choice of animals, their origins, the precise timing of releases, the narrative arcs of gladiator fights. Each was symbolic. North African lions demonstrated the reach of Roman conquest. Syrian bears reminded the people of distant wars. Elephants, massive and exotic, emphasized Rome's domination of the known world. Every roar, every leap, every clash was a story of imperial authority disguised as entertainment. And yet, amid all this, the human element persisted. Gladiators, trainers, and even the emperor experienced the quiet reflection of mortality. Soldiers and citizens alike saw their own struggles mirrored in the arena. Courage in the face of fear, loyalty under pressure, and the cost of power. The games were more than blood. They were a mirror of Rome itself. Imagine the crowd on a warm evening. Torches glow, the scent of food wafts through the air, and yet beneath the spectacle, an emperor watches calmly. Every cheer is a signal. Every gasp is a lesson. Power is measured not only in armies or gold, but in the ability to move hearts, minds, and allegiances. The Colosseum, in its grandeur and orchestration, became the ultimate instrument of influence. Even the architecture contributed. The careful arrangement of seating, the unobstructed sight lines, the grandeur of the arches, all designed to make citizens feel small, yet privileged to witness Rome's majesty. Fear and awe intermingled, a subtle but powerful tool. The Colosseum was never just a building. It was a political engine, a living testament to Rome's ability to bend perception, control emotion, and shape society. Blood, yes, but blood with purpose, blood as message, blood as instrument of order. And in the quiet that follows the cheers, one might pause and wonder, how much of what we witness today is spectacle, and how much is designed to guide us, shape us, remind us of our place? The Colosseum leaves this question unanswered, silent in its stone, waiting for centuries of spectators to reflect, imagine, and, in its quiet, learn the subtle art of power. As centuries pass, empires rise and fall, and yet some monuments endure. The Colosseum, once a stage of spectacle and blood, now stands quietly, bathed in soft sunlight, its arches open to the sky. Imagine walking toward it today. Tourists trickle in, cameras click, and guides whisper stories of its past. The roar of crowds has faded, replaced by the gentle hum of curiosity and awe. The Colosseum is a testament, not just to Roman engineering, but to human ambition, ingenuity, and, at times, cruelty. It reminds us how far civilization can go in pursuit of entertainment, power, and art. Its legacy is layered. Architectural marvel, political instrument, arena of courage, and a silent witness to centuries of history. Consider its architecture, travertine stone, concrete, and iron clamps, designed with mathematical precision. created a structure that could hold 50,000 to 80,000 spectators. Its elliptical shape ensured that everyone could see the action, while underground corridors, trapdoors, and lifts brought dramatic surprises to life. The Colosseum's design was revolutionary, influencing stadiums and theaters for millennia. But the Colosseum is not only stone and mortar. It is memory. It remembers the gladiators who trained under lantern light, the animals that roamed its floors, and the citizens who came to witness wonder and terror. In a way, the arena absorbs history, each stone holding stories of ambition, courage, fear, and even joy. Through the Middle Ages, the Colosseum transformed. It became housing, workshops, and even a fortress. During the Renaissance, it was partially preserved as a sacred site, with popes believing Christians had died there. Nature crept into its walls. Plants sprouted in cracks, softening the edges of its monumental presence. Even then, the Colosseum retained an air of quiet majesty, a reminder of Rome's glory. In the modern era, restoration efforts have brought it closer to its original grandeur. From the 1800s to the 2000s, arches were stabilized, stonework repaired, and pathways cleared for visitors. Today, over 7 million people walk its corridors each year, connecting with a past that feels alive despite the silence. The Colosseum also evokes reflection on humanity itself. Its history teaches lessons about entertainment, power, and morality. The thirst for spectacle, the fascination with courage and death, and the human desire to build monuments that outlast us. All these are mirrored in its stone. Standing in its shadow, one cannot help but feel the passage of time, the impermanence of human life, and the endurance of human creation. Even in silence, the arena seems to breathe, holding echoes of past cheers, whispers, and fears. The lessons linger. Ambition can create marvels. Power can shape perception. And humanity, with all its contradictions, leaves marks that endure. For a moment, imagine yourself standing in the empty arena. The wind brushes your face. The stone beneath your feet has witnessed triumphs and tragedies, struggles and celebrations. It is a quiet meditation on impermanence and resilience. And as you breathe deeply, the Colosseum whispers a gentle reminder. Even in our smallness, we can create, endure, and leave a story for the ages. So as night falls and the sun dips below the horizon, the Colosseum rests, waiting patiently for the next visitor, the next story, the next reflection. Its legacy is eternal, not in bloodshed, but in the memory it holds, the inspiration it sparks, and the silent lessons it offers to all who pause to listen. And now, as we close our journey through time, let the Colosseum's quiet strength guide you into calm reflection, letting your thoughts drift softly and your mind settle into rest. As the sun dips below the horizon and shadows stretch across the Roman Forum, the Colosseum stands quietly, a sentinel of time. Its arches, weathered yet proud, hold centuries of stories within their stone. For a moment, imagine yourself walking along its ancient corridors, each step echoing with memory. The games, the crowds, the roar of wild beasts, and the courage of gladiators, all are now whispers in the wind, soft and contemplative. From this perspective, the Colosseum teaches more than history. It offers lessons about humanity itself. Consider the paradox of entertainment and morality. The Romans sought joy, unity, and amazement, yet these came intertwined with violence. Today, it reminds us that power and spectacle, though alluring, carry responsibility. Every act, no matter how grand, leaves consequences. And as we reflect, we begin to see our modern world differently. The media we consume, the spectacles we admire, and the stories we elevate all shape society, subtly guiding thoughts and behavior. The gladiators, too, offer timeless lessons. Trained, disciplined, and celebrated yet enslaved, they embody courage in the face of fear, resilience under pressure, and the human desire for dignity. Their stories, both heroic and tragic, remind us to value perseverance, to acknowledge our limitations, and to cherish fleeting moments of freedom, joy, and self-expression. They show that even under constraints, the human spirit can shine, leaving marks that endure far longer than walls or monuments. The Colosseum also speaks of ambition and impermanence. Emperors built it to impress, to control, and to unify an empire, but even they could not prevent time from softening its edges. Today, the arena is silent, yet it still inspires awe. Its endurance teaches that while human life is transient, our creations, values, and actions can ripple through time, carrying lessons to generations we will never meet. Even the natural world contributes to this reflection. Plants growing through cracks, birds nesting in arches, sunlight streaming through open corridors. Nature gently reclaims what was once dominated by human design. It is a reminder of humility. No matter our achievements, the world continues, and we are but a small part of its unfolding story. As you imagine yourself here, perhaps sitting on a worn stone step, take a moment to reflect quietly. Picture the Colosseum at night, empty, still, and peaceful. Feel the calm that comes from knowing that history, even in its brutality, carries meaning. Every roar once echoed has settled into memory. Every cheer, every gasp, every triumph, and every sorrow has become part of a greater rhythm, the pulse of humanity itself. And now, let your mind wander gently through these reflections. Consider the lessons the arena whispers. Courage matters, even in small acts. Empathy can shape communities, and wisdom comes not only from victory, but from understanding the cost of power and spectacle. Think about our world today. Stadiums echo with cheers, screens flicker with stories of triumph and defeat, and society still craves spectacle. The Colosseum teaches that fascination with courage and competition is timeless, yet also reminds us to observe with empathy and understanding. Let yourself take a slow, deep breath, feeling the calm of this reflection spread through your body. Imagine the Colosseum's arches softly glowing in moonlight, the shadows of its long history stretching into the present. With each breath, let curiosity fade into peace, courage into calm, and awe into gentle rest. As your thoughts drift, imagine the city of Rome asleep beneath a starry sky, quiet streets, and the soft rustle of leaves. The Colosseum rests too, monumental and patient, a reminder that even the greatest creations are instruments of memory, reflection, and learning. Tonight, as you close your eyes, carry with you the calm strength of enduring monuments, the courage of those who faced fear in the arena, and the gentle reminder that time, patience, and reflection shape wisdom. Let the lessons of the past flow quietly into your mind, like soft whispers guiding you toward rest. Good night, and may your dreams be filled with calm wonder, courage, and the soft echoes of history, reminding you that even in stillness, the world holds stories waiting to be discovered.